So right here is the light controller, and this is a Tong Mao light controller module, and this is what came with the kit. And I've kind of figured out how this is supposed to work, and that's what I'm going to go through now. So this controller has a few ports. There's a set of ports right here, a set of ports right there, and then you have a set of ports over here, and then a separate set of ports on top right here, and then finally a last set of ports in the bottom. So right in here is where you have your DC in. You can see that, and it's an 8.4 volt system, and the way the polarity is organized is negative, center is positive, and then negative again. So what I have set up right here is my servo tester, and I just basically have the power just being pulled straight from that servo tester. Then going up to that, you have another set of ports here, and you can see you have a minus, plus, and signal, and that says throttle. In the middle it says switch in and gear in. So I believe the switch in is to turn the lights on and off completely, and then you have your gear in, which is obviously for activating your landing gear lights, and those landing gear lights will go into these ports right here. So there's a set of 4 ports that you can see here labeled 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are going to be directly controlled by that gear controller. So this jet actually does have 4 lights. So you've got 2 in the nose for the nose gear light, and then you've got 2 on either main wheel, and so you have 4 wires, and those will plug right into here. So that's a straightforward part. So once you plug those 4 in, you plug your power in, and you plug in your wire that goes to your receiver. In my case, that's just going to my servo tester so I can test things. You're ready to work with this. So that leaves you have ports L1 to L8, and then ports L9, L10, and L11 on this side, and then you have something labeled. Let's see if we can zoom in on this. Yeah, so you have something labeled L and R, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. The L and R, I believe, are afterburner ports, and then these 1, 2, 3, 4 are landing gear ports. That leaves 11 ports on the top for all the lights that are on the body of these aircraft. So what I'm going to go through now is how you program them. And basically you have 4 modes that you can program them. The light can either be off, it can have a single flash, it can have a double flash, and it can have a triple flash, or it can be constantly on. I believe, so 0 is no light, 1 is 1 flash, 2 is 2 flashes, 3 is 3 flashes, 4 is constant lighting. So with that, let's go ahead and plug this in and show how that works. So I got my 2S LiPo, and again, we have power just being supplied from here to the port, and my receiver is being, the place of that is being taken by the servo tester. So I'm going to plug in my 2S, and right away you can see that we have the blinking on these 2 lights right here. So the way I chose to do this is, like I said, we have about 11 ports, so L1 to L11, and I chose to just plug them in however, and then program the board. So for example, in my case, these 2 lights right here, what I have labeled as, let's see if we can zoom in on that. I also put labels on all of these wires just so I can, so you can see this says intake light. So those are these 2, and in my case those are plugged into so those are plugged into, let's see, that would be port L5 and L6. So these 2 lights on the intake are plugged into L5 and L6. And so how this controller works is that it's got 6 settings. So if we hit this button, the leftmost button, and hold, it blinks 111 right there. Let's zoom in so we can actually show that. So you can see that blinks 111, and then we can press, and now it's going to show 222. Then we can press again 333, 444, 555, 666, 777, 888, and then you're done. So the way this controller works is when it shows, when you hold this down and it goes to 111, that is a setting for the first two ports, so L1 and L2. Then when you go to 222, that's the settings for L3 and L4. 333 is L5 and L6. And then 444 is L7 and L8, so that'll be the first ports. And then I believe 555 is a setting for the top three ports. So that's the first one where you have three ports, which would be L10, L9, L10, and L11. So those ports are up there. So that's what those settings are. Now, I mentioned that my intake lights are plugged into L5 and L6. So L5 and L6 would be controlled, or would be under the setting for 333. So we're gonna go 666, 777, 888, 111, 222, 333. Okay, so once we're blinking that 333 right there, that's the settings for my intake lights. So I'm gonna zoom out and show them again. That's the setting for this. And remember I said 0 is no light, 1 is single flashing, 2 is double flashing, 3 is triple flashing, and then 4 is solid. So if I use this button all the way on the right, hold down, you see how it changes. So it's now blinking the number 3, the middle is 0, and then it says 1. And since I'm on 1, remember 0 is no flashing and 1 is 1 blink, you can see that it's set to 301. So if I set that to 302, then you can see what the effect is now I get 2 blinks. If I set it to 303, by just clicking one up, you can now see that you get 3 flashes and then off. And then if I click one more, that's solid. So again, and if I go to 0, that lights are off. So I want a single flash, so I'm going to set it to 301, as you can see. So port 3, which is or setting 3, which is a setting for ports 5 and 6, L5 and L6, and I want 1 flash, so that'll be 301. And once that's done, what I need to do is hold down the rightmost key or button, and it goes to 444, and just go through the entire, and done. So once I press and hold, now that setting has been saved, and I'm back to my single flashes. Again, you press and hold, locate whatever setting you want. In my case, I wanted 333, so once I see the 111 flashing, click again on the right button. Now I get 222, click again 333, and then you hold the rightmost, and then now that allows you to change. So single flash is 301, double flash is 302, triple flash is 303, solid is 304. If you want the light off, go back to 0. So we're going to set it back to 1, and then we're going to press and hold. We're going to press and hold. Done. So now that setting has been saved, and if we power off and power back on, that setting is stored. And that is how you program the ports on this light controller. So that applies to ports L1 all the way through L11. Lights that are on the gear, which are these last 4 ports on this side, I just made sure that in the settings 666 and 777, those are set to 601 and 701 respectively, and that gets me to what I need, which is see all the lights on the gear. And so now when I turn them off with my servo tester, they turn off, and now they turn back on. So there you go, very bright lights. I'm very happy with those. So that's how the light controller is going to be set up. My thoughts, so far this controller is working well. I chose to put it here because I noticed that all of the lights on the F-16 are actually on the fuselage, the rear part. And again, I just programmed all of these using the guidelines I just talked about. And so it made sense that without putting the front section on, I could wire everything at once, terminate it here. That way I only have the wires for the gear door, flight surfaces moving forward, and the power and gear switch from the light controller. I might also cut the intake a little bit to get some airflow under this light controller, because I imagine it'll get warm. It is a bit warm, so hopefully with air flowing underneath there it shouldn't be a problem. But so far so good. I'm happy with the wiring, and so now I think I'm at a point where I can bolt on the nose and move on.